Michelle with Healthy Living. Today our guest is Irene Lewis-McCormick. Hi Irene, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And today we're going to be talking about the foam roller. So, Irene, what is the foam roller all about?
Well, the foam roller was actually developed many years ago by a physical therapist named Moshe Feldenkrais, and it's really actually based on the Feldenkrais method. That is a form of physical therapy that helps people to alleviate tension in soft tissues. You know how you get really sore muscles in your back or your low back or your shoulders, etc. That's soft tissue soreness. And the foam roller can be really effective in alleviating some of that. Sometimes people call it delayed onset muscle soreness.
Right.
And if you train really hard and your muscles get really sore, there's no getting out of delayed onset muscle soreness. But the foam roller does a lot of things to help bring blood flow and fluid movement. It also helps with just mobility of joints. It's a great warm-up tool. This is used by athletes. It's also used for relaxation and spinal alignment. So a lot of times with my classes and clients, I will use the foam roller, especially before I teach a Pilates or a yoga class, and I will use it to lengthen the spine and to relax the body. And then people are ready to work really hard because they're prepared.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why it's really helpful. It's also super for warming up, just in the weight room before you start a workout. It's a great way to get your body ready.
It's really a common tool that we see anymore. I mean, 10 years ago, you never even saw these anywhere in a group fitness class.
Right. Now you see them in facilities, fitness centers, gyms, public wellness. You'll see them lying around. I think the problem is that a lot of people don't really know how to use them. And they don't really know that they're so beneficial.
Right.
They come in a lot of different densities. So the ones that we're using right now, this is a very soft foam roller. And over time, especially, you'll see that they'll kind of dent a little bit. And that's just from use, which is not a big deal because they're not expensive. They're easy to replace.
Right.
So you can get different densities. Some are going to be a little bit harder when you roll on them, and as you move through rolling, you might need a harder density. You'll see this in physical therapy, and you'll see this in chiropractors' offices, as well as fitness centers. And like you mentioned, they are a lot more common. But the key is figuring out how do you use them.
Right. Who would benefit from using a foam roller?
I think almost anybody who exercises would benefit from using the foam roller. I feel like people that have a lot of stress and kind of hold it in their body, whether they exercise or not, would benefit from a foam roller. I think people with chronic injuries and issues, as long as they've been seen by a physician and cleared, would benefit from rolling with respect to shoulder issue, hip issue, feet issues, knee issues, because a lot of times, not always, but sometimes those injuries are a result of a combination of things, but one being, at least one, that there's a lot of tightness. And the roller can really help with alleviating the tightness. Do you use a foam roller?
I use a foam roller every night. We have one at home, and that's what I do in the evening. And it not only helps areas that are sore, but just I feel like it just keeps my body feeling healthy, and it feels great.
It helps with relaxation.
Yes.
So if you're going to go to sleep at night, it's a wonderful tool, or even preparing for a workout, because you need to have relaxed muscles that are warm in order to work out.
And it's so simple to use.
So simple to use.
So it's something you can do just while watching TV. It's not like you need a big space or a lot of time for a dedicated workout.
Right. It could be, you could do it for 5 minutes or you could do it for 30 minutes.
Yes. Yes. So would you show us some ways to use the foam roller at home or in a group setting?
Absolutely. Sometimes I'll start with what's called self-myofascial release. It's just a fancy word that means self-massage.
Okay.
So I kind of have a method. We'll start seated.
Okay.
And we're going to sit right on top of the roller. And you're going to put your hips on it. And then obviously there's two sides to your hips, in the front and the back. Right. You're going to lean over so one of your sides is more on the foam roller than not. So you're kind of lifted up. You have to stabilize your body. So make sure you've got a long extended arm or a soft elbow, but your shoulder should not pop up. You don't want to just hang in the joint. You want to stabilize your core, and you're going to roll like you would, kind of like a rolling pin on dough, for about 3 to 6 inches at a time.
Okay.
And you might find spots that you feel like, ow, wowzers. You can do a couple things. You can just kind of not hit those areas if you're not ready to, Or you can find a spot and think to yourself, oh my goodness, I'm gonna hold it right there. And then it's kind of like when you get a massage and the massage therapist holds her elbow or her thumb like in a spot, and you think to yourself, they work that area exactly. And that's exactly what you're doing. It's just self-massage. So I usually will start on the glute, and do you see how simple it is?
Yeah, it is very simple.
You just roll, and one of the reasons I start with the glute is because it's an easy area to begin with. You just sit on the roller. It's a big muscle. There's a lot of stuff going on there. And then from the glute on the back, I turn slightly side.
Okay.
And then I'll usually cross my top leg over my bottom. And you can move around on the roller. Make sure you're comfortable. So if you're on the floor and it's not comfortable, you can take your mat or find a different surface. And do you see how I'm using this knee for like leverage?
Yes.
And then right now we're working in a part of the hip area called the gluteus medius. And so you just roll 3 to 6 inches. You can spend as much time as you want here. It feels good, huh?
It feels great.
So great. And I'll spend, as much time as I want. And then typically from here, I'm gonna roll right into my hamstring. Okay. So I'm gonna come back onto the seated position. I'll move the roller so it's a little bit more comfortable. You can do both legs at the same time, but I like to do one at a time so I can be really specific to that area. Now, sometimes people don't feel comfortable sitting back on their hands like we are. So when that is the case, I will just put my hips down for a second, rest, and then I'll come back up.
Okay.
So you start at the gluteal fold, which is where your glute area meets your leg. It's a pretty dense muscular area, so you might need to spend a little bit of time there. And see how I'm going a little bit quicker? And then as I feel comfortable, I just roll down my leg and down into my thigh. And I'll spend like as much time as I want, and see how I turn my foot out and in.
So you really hit it differently. I mean, you really need to do that rotation.
Yes, you do. There's 3 heads of your hamstrings. So you got to hit all 3 areas. And again, you might notice certain areas that are more sensitive than others. Speaking of certain areas that are more sensitive than others, let's try the IT band, shall we?
That is a very sensitive area.
This is an absolute,
a love-hate thing.
It's a love-hate relationship, but especially if you're a runner,
they get so many IT band issues.
Tight in the IT band. So this is one, even if you use the foam roller for nothing but IT band, so you get on your side, keeping in mind that it starts at the top of the hip and runs the IT band all the way down to the lateral aspect of the knee. So you need to be really sideways to it, and then you just roll. And you go down to the knee, and if you want more intensity, you can stack your feet and make yourself a little bit heavier. Just make sure you stay in line with the roller.
Right,
and
that's really important.
Yikes.
Yeah, you really feel it on that one. I find if I just really go slow in that area, it really makes a huge difference.
If you are rolling and you feel like a lot of tension and pain, don't go faster.
Right, that's what people want to do.
They want it because they want to get it over with.
Right.
But unfortunately, there's a muscle spindle response. It's just a physiological muscular response to anything where that the muscle feels is a potential danger or could be damaging. The muscles will contract.
Right.
So if you roll too fast, especially if you have like an issue or potentially an injury, you could get hurt.
Yeah.
It's unlikely, but it is possible.
Right.
So you want to use as much control and spend some time as possible. Okay. And then another area, I'll have you roll over and get on your face down. We're gonna roll right on the hip flexor. So you'll lie face down, and you can put the roller, when you roll, you really do have to kind of maneuver around on the floor. So be prepared to turn this way and that way, but it's not a big deal. All you have to do is move the roller so it accommodates you.
Right.
You can do this with both sides of your hips at the same time, but I would just do one at a time.
Okay.
So just put the roller underneath your hip flexor, which is where your leg and your body attach. And then, I don't know if you can see this, but you'll splay this leg out. So you might want to come a little bit closer to me. And that way, this leg will be free, and all the intensity will be on that one.
Okay,
and then you just get into what, almost like a forearm plank, and you just use your foot to create leverage, and you just move.
Yep.
And this is really an important area because the muscles, part of the quad and the hips that attach the leg to the torso, they get tight because we're Americans and we sit and we work at the computer and we drive. And so this muscle group gets really tight, and this is so easy to help.
Yes, and it really helps. And if you do it constantly, it gets better, easier.
So sometimes when people first start rolling, it really hurts and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't withstand the intensity of this, and they don't want to do it. But the more you do it, the more intensity you'll be able to withstand.
Yes.
And then the more successful you are actually becoming. You're getting accustomed to the work.
And the more addicting it becomes.
Yeah, it really
And
is.
you won't be able to not roll because it makes you feel so much better.
And you can, and then once you do the hip flexor area, you move down into the quad, just like this. And remember, always maintain that good posture. So just keep rolling on your quad. Now keep in mind the quad, 4 muscles. So you kind of need to move around. If you go down the center of your thigh, that's fabulous, but you're only hitting one area.
Right.
So if you kind of turn a little bit side, you'll get different aspects of your quad. See how you're kind of getting more of the inside
Definitely
of your
feel
leg.
It's a different
And then there's
feeling.
a really big quad muscle right on the inside of our knee that we use a lot, called the vastus medialis. Get on that little baby and you're gonna notice some things. It is a really tense and tight area, especially for people that have a lot of tension or pain in their knees. As long as it doesn't create any problems or they don't have massive amounts of swelling, this is a wonderful technique to help alleviate some of that pain.
Yeah, that feels great.
And you would do that on both legs, of course. And then another one that is just great with respect to self-massage, and then we'll move into spinal alignment, is this one. So if you've got like shin splints or just tightness in your ankles, you just roll just like this. I like to use this with a lot of my athletes, a lot of my high school athletes especially, because they tend to have imbalances.
Oh yeah.
Especially when they are runners or they do any sport or skill where they have to run, they sometimes get shin splints, and this really helps.
Oh, that feels good.
And it also requires a lot of core stability, so it can be a really good part of an exercise routine.
Right. And it can be, the foam roller can be incorporated in workouts as well.
I really like to roll before I take my yoga classes.
Yes.
And I really like to roll before I do Pilates. And I really like to roll before I strength train. So instead of getting on a treadmill or just walking or doing an elliptical trainer, which is great, that works, this is another way that you can warm up and get blood flow to muscles and get your body temperature up and lubricate joints. So for the spinal alignment, I'll just show you how to sit on it, and then I'll have you sit and I'll just direct you.
Okay.
So you're going to sit on the very edge of the roller. The roller is 3 feet long and it's about 6 inches in diameter. Most people, unless they're taller than about 6'7", are going to fit on a standard size roller, which is what this is.
Okay.
And then you roll back and make sure your head is supported. Good. And then if you want more of a base of support, you need more control. Some people get, actually, if you can believe this, they get a little dizzy when they lie down on the roller.
Because
it's not
of
uncommon. So if that is something that happens for you, get off the roller, and there are things that we can do. But if you feel like you can't stabilize, just open up your arms.
Okay.
Because that will help increase your base of support. So just right now, lying on the roller, you're supporting your spine. Even if you did nothing but this would be very relaxing.
And it feels great.
Because all the joints, hips, and shoulders are just hanging outside the spine, and it's just really comfortable. Now I'm going to have you reach your fingertips straight up toward the ceiling. And then you're going to do scissors. So I'm going to have you drop one hand down by your hip and the other one goes above your head, and you'll just do them simultaneously. And just keep going. And you can do whatever range of motion works for you. So if you can't touch the floor behind your head, it doesn't matter. You will over time, because you're going to increase the range of motion at your shoulder because you're stretching dynamically.
Right.
And then if you want to, after you get warm, you can hold the stretch, and that's a static stretch. So that makes the muscle, soft tissue, joints longer. Yep. Now bring them back up above your chest and just bring your arms out like you're doing a chest press, and that's going to open up your chest and shoulders. This is awesome for people, especially if they have upper back and neck pain, which I do because I exercise so much. I get pain in joints.
Right.
It's just an inevitable fact. When you exercise, you can expect some discomfort, but I'll take it any day over heart disease. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, and then now open your arms up bigger so it's like a fly.
Oh, that
And
feels
you'll
good.
do whatever range of motion best suits you.
Right. And you can just feel it completely opening up your chest, especially after sitting all day long on a computer. What a great way to Reverse
relax
that,
and
yep.
yes, and reverse that postural issues. I love it for posture. Now you can bring your hands straight up again, speaking of posture, and just pull your scapula or your shoulder blades down and around the roller, and then bring your fingertips up. This is a really subtle move, and if you didn't know what was supposed to be happening, you might not understand it. But can you feel the shoulder blades kind of wrapping around the foam roller?
Yes.
It's really helpful, especially for people that are working on improved posture.
Yep.
Yep, so there's all kinds of arm patterns you can do. So just go ahead and put those hands down on the floor to support you. Now lift one knee up and then the other, and use your abdominal wall to pull them up. And then you can drop down, both at the same time, or one and then the other. So if you are, like, that's hard to balance, isn't it?
Yes.
So try one foot down on the mat, and then pull that right one up and put it down. And then one foot will be down. Yeah, so you can, and then just bicycle those legs. So one is always on the mat. And then one, yeah. And now it's not as uncomfortable, and you still have that anterior core engagement.
Yes.
Which is what a lot of people refer to
really
as their abs.
feel it on that.
You totally do. And you're relaxing your pelvic area. Now I'm gonna have you bridge up. So you might wanna open your feet, and you're gonna lift your hips as high as you can. Bridge is one of my favorite exercises for the glutes. It's super effective. Now come down one vertebrae at a time. Just alleviate that pressure and just relax those hips down. Take a deep breath and lift up, and then you just come down one vertebrae at a time. Or if you wanted to go at a faster tempo, you could do that.
Right.
But it just helps really a lot with spinal alignment. And then the last sequence is with the roller like this. Just bring your hands towards your knees, reach, and then roll down. And you can hold your arms out in front, or you can bring your arms up and combine the movements. And you can feel it's a crunch, but you have the support in your spine, so you're actually doing a lot to move cerebral spinal fluid and to relax your back. And then after you go through a series of exercises, spending however much time you want, you roll off, you turn the roller like this. You have to really stabilize your body, and you just roll on your low back.
Love to roll my low back.
Most people are fine with this.
Right.
There are always going to be people where the movement that myself as a fitness professional or you as a fitness professional are going to pick for somebody is not going to be right. And they're the best judge of what's right for them. So if it's not right for you, don't do it.
And people usually can tell very quickly if it's not a good move for their body.
So I love this one, but I know for a fact it's not right for every single person out there. You might get a little fatigue in your neck, so you can always support your head if you want to. And then I move the roller up to the middle of my back. So I spend as much time on my low back as I want to. Again, it's not excessive. I stabilize my abdominal wall. It's not like I'm arching my back and just rolling crazy. I'm in control. Then this one's a little higher. A lot of times I'll cross my shoulders, or I will put my hands behind my head to support it. And it's so nice. It's right between the middle of your back and the bottom of your shoulder blades. That's all you do. And if you open your chest, you'll get a little more stretch. You spend as much time as you want here, and then you move it up again. So I usually just lie down and I just scoot it up. This is where your shoulders are. So you're really flat on the roller here.
We hold so much tension up there. Once you get that roller, you realize how much tension is in that upper back.
This is why we go to massage therapists.
Right, but this you can do every day.
And you can do it every day, and you can do it really, honestly, as many times a day as you want to. I don't know very many people who do the roller more than once or twice a day.
Right.
But it's safe and effective to do it more than once a day, so it's not a problem at all. And then my favorite one is you're gonna put all your body weight down and move the roller to the back of your head. Now, never put the roller on your neck, because it's just not appropriate. It's not ideal. Unless you're in, a medical setting or something. So you just rest the base of your skull on the roller. You might need to hold it, it might move, or you can put your hands here and you just turn your head side to side.
I love that move. I cannot believe the tension that is released when you do that.
This is such a good one. And if you want a little more, isn't it great? Just lift your chin up and you'll work kind of through your ears behind your head. And it just really allows for just spinal movement, neck range of motion, which of course our neck is part of our spine. We sometimes don't remember that. And then you just relax your head. And you breathe deeply. And then when you're done with this one, a lot of times I will just lengthen my legs and pull the roller out. And once you go through that process, you almost feel flatter.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can tell that or not, but you literally, your body is just so much more relaxed. It's almost flatter because there's so much tension is alleviated.
Yes, it definitely feels, the tension is gone.
Yeah.
That's why I do it every day. And that was my next question. So we can do this daily.
You can do this daily, you can do this twice daily. There are all kinds of self-myofascial release out there techniques.
Right.
A tennis ball on the bottom of your foot is wonderful.
That feels amazing.
It feels amazing. It hurts a little bit if you're not used to doing it, but it's super effective. I do that one a lot.
Yes.
And then the foam roller, and these are not expensive
No, and
pieces
we
of
actually even
equipment.
sell them here at Ames Parks and Recreation. They're $25 for a full foam roller, and you can have it in your living room and use it daily, if not more.
It's very reasonable too, because you can go to fitness catalogs and physical therapy catalogs, and they can be as much as $65.
Right. So we just get a bunch of them, and we sell a lot of them. So it's a good place to come. And we also have a class on the fitness schedule.
Oh, sure.
Called Foam Roller Core and Stretch. And so for those people who not quite sure, want a little help, they have an instructor to guide them through just what we did today, the rolling, and then some of the exercises.
And it's easy and it's effective for all ages. Really, anybody who would benefit from massage would benefit from foam rolling.
Right. So from your athlete, from your student athlete, all the way to older adults, it's definitely something they want to include in their daily exercise program.
Yes.
Well, this has been very informative and very good to know about and learn. So thank you very much for joining us.
Absolutely.
So if you would like more information on our foam roller class or any of the fitness programs here at Ames Parks and Recreation, you can check them all out online at amesparkrec.org. Or of course, you can always give me a call at 239-5353. Again, thank you for joining us
You're
today.
welcome. Happy to be here.
Appreciate it. I'm Nancy Shaw with Healthy Living, and remember, it's never too late to get fit.